What's going on, guys? It's Sov. Welcome back to the channel. Today it's all about anemo. That's why we have our anemo god here, Xiao, the real one, the boy. Well, as you guys know, the talk of all Genshin right now is the next character banner, which is Kazuha. Kazuha is coming very soon to Genshin Impact. MiHoYo just released a little bit of information on their own website about Kazuha. Even though the entire community already knows a little bit about him, we're going to go through his stats today, how I think we should be building him for main DPS and sub DPS. You could possibly also use him as support, but we're not going to talk about that here. We're all about damage here, guys. That's all we worry about. All that and more in this video. But remember, don't be a bitch. Like the video. Let's try to go for 100 likes. Also subscribe so you don't miss any future content. And without further ado, let's get into it. So late last night, I really shouldn't say late last night because they usually release this in China time, in the daytime or the morning. But for us in America here, it was late last night. That's usually when they drop all their stuff. And I am not really first to market when it comes with these videos. I really don't care about that. I'm going to give you guys my opinion, and that's why you guys watch this channel. You want to see what I think about things and how I like to do things over here. So let's drop into it. So we have some nice artwork here, some creative materials here. We're gonna get into all the details on how I think he should be built. So if you guys look at this, Scarlet Leaves pursue wild waves. We already know he uses a sword, affiliation Crux Fleet. I don't really think this matters, any of this stuff. Vision is anemo. We know all this stuff right here. So let's go ahead and look at his stats on this page here. Once again, we are using Genshin Impact, Honey Impact. Link will be in the description box so you guys can go check it out yourself. Let's check it out. So the stat that scales with Kazuha is Elemental Mastery, and with the Elemental Mastery rework with Elemental Reactions and stuff, Elemental Mastery is somewhat viable now in the game. All right, so this scales up to 115.2 at level 80 plus. That's nice because that gives you that instant amount of elemental mastery. You gotta love it. Gets that extra boost. That him being anemo and everything being infused with anemo eventually will get that extra elemental damage. Great. Ascension materials. Let's go ahead and look at these. We already know he's going to use the anemo gemstones. You can get these from the hypostasis. You can get these from several different bosses currently in the game. I wouldn't waste time doing the anemo hypostasis because there is another boss currently in the game where you can get these, and you can also get this item as well. The Magu Kinshin. I don't know, whatever. You can get these from Magu Kenki, currently a boss in the game. In the Golden Apple Archipelago. You guys should already know where this is. If you guys go to the Golden Archipelago map, right here in the middle, this is going to change as soon as this area leaves for the next update for Inazuma 1.7, speculative. Remember that? That's speculative. But once Inazuma comes out and this region is no longer here, this will move to Inazuma. For right now, though, it's in Golden Archipelago. Make sure you do enough story quests for the Golden Archipelago to get it to unlock it. All right, that's done. We'll go back to here. The next item that for Ascension is going to be the Sea Ganoderma. These are easily found also in the same region in the Golden Archipelago. They're pretty much found on the coastline. You can go all around these areas and just search for them. Very easy to get. Let's go to the attack talents. So perform up to 5 rapid strikes. As you can see here, normal attack, and it's going to also show you the charged attack as well. This is the normal attack sequence. It's nice to be able to see these. Love to see it, that final attack. And then that is the charged attack there. So nice to have a visual finally on this. Looks great. So let's go ahead and look at the E ability. All right, we are looking at the plunge damage. Nothing crazy here. It's not like Xiao's plunge damage, but you know, you do get the plunge damage boost. So you are going to want to be plunging a lot because of this ability here. So if you press, you can be, and it can be used mid-air, but if you press it, you know, you go ahead and get a mid-air attack like this. You go up in the air, and then you should be able to do a plunge attack. And once again, guys, like I said, you can use it in mid-air. That is the tapping mode. Now, if you hold that thing, boom, all right, you do a little bit of an absorption. It kind of sucks them in, and then you can go and get more damage. And then it also has that ability where it sucks them in when you plunge as well. So that if you go ahead and read this, within 10 seconds of remaining airborne after casting this ability, I'm not even going to try to read this right now. Kazuha can unleash a powerful plunging attack known as Mid-Air Ranzan. When a plunging attack is performed using the effects of this ability, plunging attack damage is converted to anemo damage on landing. Kazuha creates a small wind tunnel via secret blade technique that pulls in nearby objects and opponents. Mid-Air Ranzan's damage is considered plunging attack damage. So just keep that in mind, guys, that it does convert it to anemo damage. So you're getting that extra anemo damage, but it is going to be used as plunging damage. So keep that in mind. All right. Everybody good here? All right. Great. So if you hold it up, he does more anemo damage for the first strike and then the plunging attack damage. So if you guys look at the damage scaling here, the press damage is 192% damage. The press cooldown is 6 seconds. The hold skill damage is 260%. So it really depends on your situation. If you are, if there's multiple enemies in the area, or if you need to get quick damage off, pressing obviously, and then holding to really get that big damage off. Once you feel like the enemies are a little bit closer and you could group them together, I think that's the time when you want to actually hold this ability to do that. It's fairly simple. You're getting extra damage to hold. You're doing more anemo damage when you hold. Not a problem. And it can also be used mid-air, which is really cool. All right, now let's look at his ult, the Kazuha Slash. So let's go ahead and go down to the ult. This ability is going to envelop an area around you in anemo, and it's going to swirl and infuse an element that's inside of it. So if you look at this, the signature technique of Kazuha's self-styled blade work, a single slash that strikes with the force of the first winds of autumn, dealing AoE anemo damage. The blade's passage will leave behind a field named Autumn Whirlwind that periodically deals AoE anemo damage to opponents within its range. Elemental absorption to this: if Autumn Whirlwind comes into contact with Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, or Electro, it will deal additional elemental damage of that type. Elemental absorption may only occur once per use. So you're not going to be able to absorb multiple elements, which I think, once again, they need to be able to implement this into anemo. Anemo is such a weak element because you only infuse an element once. And if an element is from the enemy whose elemental type you absorb, you're then pushing back out an elemental type that they're going to be immune to or not weak to whatsoever. So it kind of doesn't really matter so much. So I think that it should allow you to absorb at least 2 different element types. So if there's 2 different element types in there where they're both weak to each other, you can take them out in one fell swoop instead of, for instance, in this, you see that the Hydro gets absorbed, and then the Hydro is not affecting the Hydro slime here. So it kind of is pointless to a point. So I think that still needs a rework for anemo in general. I do appreciate the adjustment to elemental reactions, but they need to go further with looking at anemo because anemo characters are so weak because of this. All right, so if we look at the damage scaling here, slashing damage is 262% level 1. The dot is 120%. Additional elemental damage is an additional 36%. The duration is 8 seconds. The cooldown is 15 seconds. Energy cost 60. So it's not ridiculously high. It should be fairly easy if you pair Kazuha up with Xiao, which plunging damage, you gotta want to go a plunging duo, great, but you're still gonna need a healer in your party. So if you partner him with Jean will be able to get energy for him. This will be easy to get up because Xiao's energy cost is 80, and his energy getting up with Jean in the party is actually fairly easy. So I think that is capable either or right now. If you have a Nemo Traveler, I wouldn't suggest using a Anemo Traveler because I think that's a waste of a slot because Anemo Traveler is pointless without a lot of investment. Anemo Traveler is weak and, like I said, pointless. So if you have Xiao, if you have Jean, they are 5 stars. They're great partners to have. But remember, if you use Xiao, you need to also think about having a healer in your party. Talent Ascension materials for Kazuha. Kazuha uses the Diligence books and also uses the gilded scales, which you get from the Azhara boss under the tree in Liyue, the most annoying boss currently in the game, does way too much damage and absorbs too much damage. And if you don't have Zhongli, a crazy, ridiculous shield, it's going to be a struggle to beat him. All right, passive talents decrease sprinting stamina consumption for your own party members by 20%. You love to see this. This is great for combat, great for exploration. On top of that, if you are using other anemo characters in your party, you're going to get the anemo, what do they call it? The anemo buff for having two characters of the same elemental type. I forgot what it's called. That also will give you a stamina boost as well. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Summon Swordsmanship. If this elemental skill comes into contact with Hydro Cryo Electro when cast, it will absorb the element, and if plunge attack mid-air Renzen is used before the effect expires, it will deal an additional 200% attack of the absorbed elemental type as damage. This will be considered plunging attack damage. Elemental absorption may only occur once per use of that skill. So you're getting more damage. Any passive ability that allows you to get more damage is always a win in my book. You love to see it here. That makes the character more viable. However, once again, it's most likely going to be used elemental damage of the elemental type of the enemy that's already being used. If it's an elemental enemy, so you're going to not do as much damage as you think, unless it's something that, like a character that throws a fireball, or a character that uses certain arrows or something with that with that element, and then you're gonna infuse it, and then it will do more damage. But if it's not those specific enemies and it's an actual elemental type enemy, it's kind of pointless. And those are the harder enemies to beat anyways, in my opinion. All right, the next passive talent, Poetics of Fubustu. Okay, maybe. All right, upon triggering a swirl reaction, which he's going to be swirling everything, Kazuha will grant teammates a 0.04% elemental damage bonus to their corresponding element for every point of elemental mastery he has for 8 seconds. Bonuses of different elements obtained through this method can coexist. This is cool. So you can actually get different bonuses for other characters that have that element, and it goes off of his elemental mastery, and his elemental mastery will be big. So in this instance, he can be a viable support for other characters that are going to be putting out burst damage. I would like to see Kazuha as a main or burst damage dealer. I would not use him as a support character. I know people say that Elemental Mastery is a support role, but with the changes to Elemental Mastery in the game, it allows him to be more viable now than ever. So, as we know, Elemental Mastery is the stat of choice for Kazuha. So, we have the Freedom Sworn sword that has Elemental Mastery in it. We're probably going to see this in the banner. So, seeing this, we see that Elemental Mastery scales from 43 to 198. Base attack scales from 46 to 608. You guys can see all the materials here for it. We're not going to get into those because none of them are newer. Nothing special about these. You guys know how and where to get these already, most likely. The special ability is a mouthful, but what you guys need to know is that you're getting damage increases, and it does stack. So anytime you're doing attacks, you're getting elemental reactions, you're going to be stacking the extra damage on here. That's good. We already know these things. Like, you guys can read through it yourself. You can see it on the screen. I'm not going to read through it, but it can, like I said, you're seeing these damage increase by 10% here. Normal and charged attack damage increase 16% and increases attack by 20%. So as you guys see here, he makes up for like not having a crazy base attack here. You're going to get damage increases. You're going to get attack percent increase. This is a good sword. And it is going to work great on him because it does stack the Elemental Mastery, which is something you want to do on him. So maybe there are some other swords available. You don't have access to a 5-star. You're just not that lucky, or you don't want to spend money on the game. There are a few others available. We are going to be looking at the Elemental Mastery substat, though. So you do have the Alley Flash here. Alley Flash doesn't have a big Elemental Mastery substat. It only scales to 55. However, the base attack is massive for a 4-star, which is 620. If you guys recall, that's higher than the previous weapon we just looked at, which was a 5-star. So this is an option, and it's a little bit easier to obtain because it is 4-star. However, you might have to wait for it to be on a banner to get it, because normal banners, good luck getting anything you want. On top of that, you can also go for another Elemental Mastery sword that is Craftable, the Iron Sting, you finally might have a use case for it. Elemental Mastery scales to 165, base attack only 510, but you get that Elemental Mastery substat which you want to be stacking on a character. Guys, when it comes to building characters, you always want to stack possibly more or a type of stat that will complement their scaling stat. In this case, Elemental Mastery, you want to probably dump as much Elemental Mastery on Kazuha as possible because he's going to take full advantage of that. Other characters that have crit rate, you might want to stack crit damage or stack a little bit more crit rate, crit damage. You want to stay in the crit family as well. So that's how you do these types of things, all right? And that's how you get the most out of your character. Now, let's go ahead and look for artifacts. What are we going to be using on a Kazuha? The artifact set that I think is going to complement Kazuha the best currently that is available in the game is the Viridescent set. This is a very easy set to obtain currently, and the 2-piece set gives you more anemo damage. The 4-piece set increases swirl damage by 60%, decreases opponent elemental resistance to the elemental infused by swirl by 40% for 10 seconds. So, this set is going to complement his build completely right now. However, I think there is a new artifact set that is coming out in the next update that will complement him not only in terms of his total kit and getting more damage, but also it pretty much looks like it's just made for him. So let's go ahead and look at it. All right, or the Reminiscence of Shine. And let's look at the bonuses. 2-piece bonus is attack, 18%. 4-piece is when casting elemental skill. If the character has 15 or more energy, they lose 15 energy, and normal charged plunging attack damage is increased by 50% for 10 seconds. The color scheme looks like it's made for him. Look at this. It looks like it is just, they want you to be using this. You get attack bonus, and you're getting stuff like boost based off of elemental casting your elemental skill, which is a short elemental skill cooldown of 6 seconds. And you're also getting this plunging attack damage boost for 50% for 10 seconds. This is going to complement him. This might also complement Xiao as well, because if you guys look at Xiao, we're not going to talk about him too much, but you know, he's plunging damage, and you want to go for 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Glad on Xiao. This kind of eliminates hunting for those pieces, and you still get plunging damage boosts here, but that's neither here nor there. This is Kazuha video. Let's keep talking about Kazuha. This set comes out in Inazuma. We don't have access to it yet, so maybe in the future we can go in depth once we have access to that. But for now, I think Viridescent is going to be useful. Once again, go for crit damage on the circlet. Might want to go for Elemental Mastery on the watch timepiece on the sands, whatever you want to call it. And then go for a anemo damage cup. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Viridescent set, just as long as everything else is the Viridescent set. Those are the stats that I think you should always try to stack. Elemental Mastery substats on the rest of the pieces. Crit damage and crit rate, try to get those in there somewhere. I don't think you have to worry about crit rate too much. He's going to be getting a lot of damage from swirls and elemental reactions anyways. So I digress. That's what I think for the sets. When it comes to pairing him with other characters, just get a wide variety of elements, guys, if you can. Try to get as many elements as possible. If he's swirling and you want to main or burst DPS him and swirl around to get more elements to do more damage, just make sure you have a variety of elements that could be weak to opponents on the field. Those are my only suggestions there. You choose what you want to do. So, final thoughts on Kazuha. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about him. Are you going to be rolling for him or not? You're going to pass on this next banner? I'm definitely going to be rolling. If you guys want to come through, be sure to leave a like on this video. Also subscribe. I will be live streaming my rolls and pulls on this, so there'll be a video up after. If you guys want to donate to those rolls, be sure to check out the Cash App donation in the description box below. But that's going to be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and good luck on your wishes. Later.